Hello dear students, today in this video we are going to discuss about menstrual cycle. So menstrual cycle or menstruation is a natural phenomena that occurs in every individual females or in every individual woman, right? So the menstrual cycle is a reproductive cycle in female which begins during the age of adolescence or during puberty. So onset of menstruation marks the beginning of the stage called puberty or adolescence, right? So the beginning of menstruation is also called menarche, which lasts for around say up to the age of 45 to 50 years when the woman stops to menstruate. The stage is called menopause. So from menarche to menopause, the females or the women remain reproductively active. So menstrual cycle is basically a reproductive cycle, a reproductive phase or a stage during which a female can produce gametes, right? So menstruation, the cyclic process or the menstrual cycle lasts for around 28 to 30 days, right? Or you can consider it for a month. So during this month or during the menstrual cycle, there are a lot of changes that occurs in the female reproductive system, including the production of gametes. Menstrual cycle can be divided into three stages, that is pre-ovulation, ovulation and post-ovulation. So it lasts for around say 1 to 30 days or 1 to 28 or 29 days, during which there are a lot of changes occurs in the female reproductive system, right? The first 15 days can be considered as a pre-ovulation stage where there are different follicular development in the ovary, right? So during this time the follicles, the egg or the ovum gets matured and develops different follicles, right? And at the stage when the egg gets matured completely, the Graafian follicle, the last stage that is called the Graafian follicle of the ovum, it gets ruptured and the egg is released and it is collected and it remains stationary in the fallopian tube, right? So in the fallopian tube, by the process of ovulation, the egg will be released and it will remain for 3 to 5 days in the fallopian tube for fertilization to happen. So during the period or the time when the egg is released is called ovulation. So ovulation normally occurs during the mid-cycle, say on the day 14, 15 or 16. In these 3 days, the ovulation may happen or the ovulation may take place. Then after ovulation, we may consider it the post-ovulation stage where the egg slowly started to get degenerate, right? The egg does not remain viable all throughout the cycle or all throughout after ovulation. It may remain after say for 3 to 5 days so that fertilization may happen. If there is no fertilization, then gradually the egg will degenerate and it will lose its viability, right? So during the later period, say on day 29 or day 30, it will be shed off, it will be degenerated completely and it will be shed off along with the menstrual blood, right? So this is why a woman bleeds every month. So this bleeding is known as menstruation. So with the bleeding on the first day, it will begin the first menstrual cycle, right? So we can say that the next cycle begins as soon as you start to menstruate. So the same process will be continued. So in this way you can say that menstruation is a process of production or not production of gametes actually, but it is a process where the body is being prepared for pregnancy, right? As we know that every organism they need to reproduce in order to continue their generation, or in order to continue the species, the organism must reproduce. So this is one of the very important phenomena among the female for the sexual reproduction to happen, right? So menstruation or this cyclic event is in fact is for pregnancy to be maintained. right? There are different changes that occurs in the female body during this menstrual cycle. For example, the eggs get matured, different follicular development in the ovaries. So different developmental processes in the ovary until it releases the egg, as well as there are different uterine events that occurs in the uterus. For example, the accumulation of blood vessels in the uterus, right? The uterine tissue also prepares for the implantation to happen, right? But definitely, because all women are not married, there are school going girl at the age of puberty where there may not be any fertilization happen, or even in case of an unmarried woman, certainly there will be no fertilization. I mean, there will be no any physical contact with a male, or there is no any insemination of the gamete, of the male gamete, then definitely the egg will not be fertilized. So as a result, it will be degenerated and it will be shed off, and if there is no fertilization, means there cannot be any pregnancy. So the menstrual blood which is accumulated in the uterus will also be shed off, or will also come out of the uterus in the form of blood, right? So along with the blood, the unfertilized egg also will be released. Okay, as you can see here, this is the pictorial diagram of menstrual cycle. Here you can see the menstrual cycle begin from day 1. The day 1 when you start to menstruate, that is bleeding. Here it is written uterine lining breaks down or menstruation occurs. Menstruation means the bleeding occurs. The bleeding may continue say up to day 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, the bleeding may continue. After that it will be stopped, but the menstrual cycle will keep going, say on day 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 also. Here the uterus will prepare again, right? Here the uterus will prepare again. This uterine lining gets thickened again due to the accumulation of blood or the blood vessels. Then on day 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, this is the mid cycle, you can say, where ovulation may occur. You can expect ovulation may happen within these days, okay? Usually on day 14. Usually on day 14 or 15, the ovulation may occur, or the release of egg may occur within this time, right? Then next 16, 17, 18 you can consider as the post ovulation days. In post ovulation days, the egg will remain viable, right? The egg will remain viable for fertilization. So if there is any physical contact, or if there is an insemination of the semen or the male sperm, then definitely the egg will get fertilized. Means there is a maximum chance that the egg may get fertilized within these days. But because there is no physical contact with a male, then definitely the egg is not going to get fertilized, and it will also lose its viability after day 18. So from day 19, 20, 21 and 22 onwards, the egg will start to degenerate. Along with the degeneration of egg in the fallopian tube, the uterine lining continues to thicken. As I already mentioned that the uterus prepares for the pregnancy to occur, or for the implantation to occur, right? That is the natural process, because if there is fertilization, then definitely this zygote will be developed into embryo, and it will be implanted into the uterus. So that embryo need to be more nourished further. So that's why the uterine lining gets thickened in order to nourish the developing embryo, okay? But the case is different here, because the egg is not fertilized. Now, since the egg is not fertilized, on day 28, the blood vessels or the uterine lining will be shed off in the form of blood. Along with the blood, the unfertilized egg also will be released, right? So in this way, one menstrual cycle is completed on day 28. Then the day when you menstruate begins the next cycle, that is from day 1. So the same cyclic event will be continued. So in this way, menstrual cycle or menstruation is due to the presence of uterus, right? If there is no uterus, then we can say that there will be no menstrual cycle and there will be no menstruation. So menstruation is directly related to the uterus, which is present only in females, and one of the major part of the reproductive system in female. So this uterus is also known as the mother's womb. We have seen that how the different events occur during this menstrual cycle. So the period at which the woman menstruate or woman starts to menstruate, that is from menarche till menopause. So women or the females are reproductively active only during this period, right? Only this period means only from menarche to menopause. So this may vary from individual to individual. Some may attain menopause very early, maybe earlier than 40 years of age, or maybe it can be very late as 55 or 50 plus years. Also the woman may stop to menstruate, right? So only during this period the women are reproductively active, or they can become mother, or they can have a child, right? So this is one of the phenomena of reproductive system in humans, right? So with this we have learned what is menstruation and what is menstrual cycle. Okay, so with this I end here. I hope you have learned it, and hope to see you in my next video lesson. So till then, take care and bye bye.